Mr. Bailey?
Here.
Commissioner Bunting?
Here.
Commissioner Gay?
Here.
Commissioner Sampson?
Here.
Commissioner Owens?
Here. George, did you say the invocation?
Please bow your head. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the day, the blessings in. We just pray, Father, you be with us tonight through this meeting. We be respectful and mindful of others. We ask now, Father, you be with us through the rest of this evening. For Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Finish with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have the administrator have a brief comment before open up the public comment.
If you don't mind, I think I'm going behind that podium. My voice is carried so well back here. Well, everyone, my name is Tim Dolahanty. I'm the county administrator. I hate to start off by apologizing. I apologize for the logistics. Having to move everybody up here. We were trying to get this recorded on the CCL cameras in the courtroom. That's way more sophisticated than we're used to. We used to have one camera, one laptop, we're ready to go. This is great equipment, I'm sure, but nevertheless, we have our deputy administrator who is recording at least the audio, so we'll have that for tonight. And of course, the official record is kept by the county clerk in the form of the minutes of the meeting, so that'll be available too. Just a few words about tonight. First, I want to go over the rules for public comment, which I'm certain a few of you might want to partake in tonight. On April 21st of this year, the Board of Commissioners approved Resolution 26-422, its rules of an organization that include a structure for public comment. Persons who wish to address the board are required to comply with the following 5 steps, and there will be a copy of this up here at the podium if you forget. First step is please state your name for the record. Second, please speak only to the chairperson. If you don't want to debate with commissioners or engage, just please speak directly to the chair. He has the authority to direct you to a different person if he needs a different kind of an answer, but please speak only to the chair. Please stand behind the podium when speaking. So that might be a little bit awkward coming through one of the gates to get out here, but we'll accommodate. Finally, limit your comments to 3 minutes or fewer. I will be keeping time next to the chair and will let him know when the 3 minutes is up. Believe me, sometimes 3 minutes can feel like an eternity in a public setting like this. So don't worry that you have to take up the full 3, but 3 minutes, and that should give everybody an opportunity here tonight to speak. Finally, please follow the directions of the chair when you're speaking. Probably won't be many directions outside of the cutoff point at 3 minutes, but please, again, direct or follow whatever direction it might come into play. Now, when you're up here speaking, if the board doesn't engage with you, and they shouldn't, don't take that as disinterest. This is your opportunity to put your thoughts on the record for the board. It's not a time for a commissioner to debate with you over the merits of what you say or what your thoughts are. So don't feel like they're disrespecting you. They're really not. They're really listening. But their role is to listen to you tonight at the hearing itself. Last thing I want to do is just quickly go over what's going to happen tonight. It might not be as much as you think might happen. There's a very specific thing the board has to do tonight just to comply with the state statute that lays out a pretty narrowly defined list of steps that we have to follow. Just some background. On August 6th of 2018, the Gratiot County Board of Commissioners at that time amended the Gratiot County zoning ordinance to include requirements for solar energy systems, solar farms, and other renewable energy projects on county zone townships, which includes, in this case, Sumner Township. On December 31st of 2023, literally almost 3 years ago now, our state legislature and governor approved House Bill 5120, sign that into law as Act 233, also known as the Clean and Renewable Energy and Energy Waste Reduction Act. This act in part authorizes certification by the state of Michigan before any construction can begin on a solar energy facility and regulates certain local ordinances. On July 14th of 2026, a certified letter from IBV Energy Partners offered to meet with the Board of Commissioners Chairperson Dave Owens to discuss the proposed Honeyhill Creek LLC energy project in Sumner and Seville Townships as required by that Act 223. Chairperson Owens, along with a number of other Gratiot County officials, including myself, Commissioner Sapsi, our Planning Commission Chair, did meet with the representatives of Honeyhill on July 22nd to review their proposed facility. This is critical on July 22nd and with the letter of July 14th, because under the state statute, this started a clock. This means that after a certain number of days pass, for instance, after 30 days, the board chair is compelled, as the chief elected official of the county, to send notice to Honeyhill to discuss whether or not our zoning ordinance, where it talks about renewable energy, is a compatible renewable energy ordinance as stated in the statute, in that state statute. This is kind of unusual for the state to say that local units of government can do zoning, but now we're going to step in and say there's a piece of it that we're going to intervene. This happens with gravel pits, but that one's kind of understandable. Either the gravel is there to be mined or it's not. And what the state told locals is that if it's there, you have to somehow allow for that mining process to happen. So it's under that same kind of thought with renewable energy in 2023. At the end of the year, the state said local zoning must be compatible with this set of rules that we put in the statute. If it's not, then the developer has the option of going to the Michigan Public Service Commission with the application for consideration and ultimately approval or denial at the state level. So here's the spoiler alert: we're not compatible with that state statute. In fact, at our meeting on July 22nd, the Honeyhill representatives identified 4 elements of that ordinance that are more restrictive than what the state ordinance or the state statute requires. So this is tonight, a question for the board is, do we send a letter that states we're compatible? The answer is we're not. But nevertheless, that has to be on the record by, I believe it's August 21st, which resulted in the special meeting here tonight. So that happens within the 30-day period. Why are we having the full board meet when the statute says the chief elected official writes the letter? In Michigan, the County Board of Commissioners is made up, in our case, of 5 commissioners. Each, in this case, doing the math, has 20% of the vote. So the board chairman writing a letter and signing it, that's only 20%. He needs at least 2 other commissioners to get to a majority for the board to say we're compatible or not. The board chair does not have the authority unilaterally to do that. So this is why we convened the whole board of commissioners. The board did want to be very transparent, and it was not on the agenda last week, and they said, let's have a special meeting because we know there's a lot of public interest in this so that you can see what the board is doing. The board tonight's not considering the merits of the project. They're just asked or tasked by state statute to determine whether or not our local ordinance is compatible with the state act. And again, spoiler alert, it's not. So that's a pretty simple matter of fact, it's not. What happens next is also defined in the statute. The developer, in this case Honeyhill, will be compelled to have a public meeting at some point in the future that will be advertised to present the plan to the public. And because we're not compatible, I believe Honeyhill or IEV, not sure which is the proper, but is then going to make a choice as to what avenue they pursue. If they decide to pursue the local ordinance, is going to require some changes to the zoning ordinance to meet compatibility of the statute itself. If we're not able to come to terms there, then Gratiot can go right to the State Public Service Commission and petition there to have their application considered. We're not there. Tonight, we're only determining whether or not we're compatible. And again, we're not. The board will act on that after public comment. So that's in synopsis of what we're doing tonight. I hope I didn't ruin the surprise at the end, but it's pretty clear. It's just a finding of fact. It really isn't up for debate. But it is an opportunity for you to be on the record if you want to speak. Then follow these rules. I will be next to the board chair. I'll try to remember to raise my hand if we're coming up against the 3-minute point, and we can move it right along at that stage. Now, I do have handouts that I provided to the board tonight. The board speaks through motions and resolutions, and we typically, on a matter like this, will speak through the resolution that cites the various statutes and zoning ordinances and other authorities that we're acting under, and then draws to a conclusion. I've also put in this packet some references to the statute itself, into the zoning ordinance, and a copy of the letter that will propose having the board chair sign if the board goes to do that. This I will ask to have posted on the county webpage so it'll be available to everybody. I do have a couple of extra copies, certainly not enough for everybody tonight, but I'm happy to part with those later on after the meeting if you're interested. So please watch that webpage. Let's just say if you have any questions, I believe my phone number is on the county website. I think I remember it, but I'm not going to give it out in case I'm wrong. But nevertheless, I think there's also a link to my email address on that page too, so I'm certainly willing to field any emails, any questions you might have, as I'm certain your commissioners are willing to engage with you as well. So with that, turn it back to the board chair and back to our regularly scheduled program.
Tim said that a lot better than I ever could. Any chance we can drop those names over? Yeah. Right. Okay, we're ready for public comment.
So, can you send this to
Sure.
Bruce for the record?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Scott Apple. I'd like to concede 3 minutes as well as my son Jake. This is what I'm gonna say is about 6 minutes. That'd be proper.
You agree with that? Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, my name is Scott Apple. Since the 1930s, my family has proudly farmed our ground here in Gratiot County. I've decided to speak to this group tonight on behalf of my family to clear up some misconceptions and give my perspective on the proposed solar project. I am one of the landowners who has entered into an option contract with IBB. What that means is, in a nutshell, is that the company has 4 years to exercise the option to purchase our land in order to build a solar project. If they don't do so within 4 years, the contract is terminated. Or if they decide within 4 years not to pursue it, they can terminate the contract as well. Whether or not the option gets exercised comes down to whether the project gets its permit. If it doesn't, we will go on farming. But I believe it should get its permit. I took this opportunity not only for our family's long-term future, but after serious consideration of what it would mean to our community, a community I plan to stay in. We're currently building a new home right next to where the project is being proposed. Now I want to touch on a few myths out there. Myth 1, solar panels are harmful to the environment, are made in China, and lower property values. None of this is accurate. These are simply scare tactics being employed by those who are opposing the project. Here are the facts. The material used in the panels is not harmful to the environment, and they do not leach any material into the soil as far as people fear. The project would actually make a positive impact on the land because Michigan mandates the soil beneath the panels be seeded with native grasses, which will mitigate runoff and soil erosion. Furthermore, IBB
is committed to planting pollinators on these parcels, which will help the bee population substantially. And of course, this project would eliminate the use of pesticides and fertilizers currently being used. The panels IBV uses are built in the USA. Based on the statistics from our solar projects in existence, the negative impact on our property values is negligible, and in many cases, non-existent. Much of the initial property value declines come from the stigma associated with solar, which stems from opposition to these projects. We didn't make this decision lightly, and we did the research ourselves before even considering the offer. Myth 2, the solar project will take away prime farmland. To be clear, most of the acreage we own is not considered prime farmland, as that distinction is determined by soil type. However, we as farmers have increased the potential of subprime acreage by clearing trees, working the land, putting money into tile, implementing regenerative farming practices, and fertilizing the ground to increase our soil health and therefore yields. That was our time, our blood, our sweat, our tears, and our money. I believe it also should be our decision if we choose to capitalize on nearly a century of investment. I believe it is my right to pursue this opportunity, especially when you consider these projects already operate in the county without issue. And this particular project is proposing to do everything it can to accommodate neighbors. Myth 3, there's going to be a food shortage if land goes to solar. We've all seen the signs stating farms equal food, not solar. Most of us know that corn and soybeans, the crops we predominantly grow, do not come anywhere close to our dining tables. 40% of corn and soybeans are made into fuels such as ethanol and biodiesel. Much of the rest goes to livestock feed, vegetable oil, and corn syrup. No one is going to starve if these acres go out of production. In fact, fewer acres being planted may raise crop prices for other farmers, as we currently have an overabundance of crops being harvested. Myth 4, this solar project will hurt our community. On the contrary, this project will actually have many financial benefits to our community. IBV wants to work with the townships to make this beneficial to residents. The financial incentives being offered could help things such as repairing roads, funding Sumner Township's senior center, repairing the construction issues at the Seville Township Hall, building a fire hall, paying off bonds more quickly, etc. And tax revenues alone can negate the need for our property taxes to be raised. In other words, though you may not be in favor of the solar project, if you live in either Sumner or Seville Township, you will benefit from it. Our family would not consider this if we thought it would negatively affect the community where our family has lived for generations and where we raised our children. There is truly only one legitimate negative to this project, and that is, of course, the appearance of the panels. No, they're not attractive, but IBV is willing to discuss options to mitigate this issue as well, starting with setback distances and landscaping. This is where teamwork would come in instead of trying to end the project completely. We're hopeful the townships will see the potential gain for cooperating with the company. On a personal note, despite what some people think, farming is not easy, nor is it that profitable. We do it because we love it. But business is business, and when presented with a chance to create financial security for our family, we took the emotion out of it and made the smartest business decision we could. It's a scary thing to look in the future and not know if we're going to be able to continue to farm. Farming has changed so much over 50 years I've been doing it, and we've done our best to keep up. My fear is that my son and son-in-law, who have chosen to farm with me, will someday be forced the prospect of losing the farm, or put in a position to having to sell the farm because of financial difficulty, or because the next generation doesn't want to. This opportunity will allow me to retire, which I never thought I would be able to do, and gives my family the financial security that farming will never offer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Once?
is Elaine Bigelow. And I just listened to Scott Apple, and I have to agree with everything he has said. For me, I am a widow. This is the best opportunity for me to make sure that my children and my grandchildren have something. Right now, I'm living off from rental income plus Social Security. But for my rental income, 25% of that or more, I pay property taxes. I have most of my property in the PA 116, so I do get some income back. But this income I receive for Bigelow's Hilltop Farm, I split that income with my son. That doesn't leave us very much after we pay for our medical insurance, we pay for the property taxes, we pay for insurances. And also, as Scott mentioned, the commodity prices are very low. Input prices are very, very high. And many, many farmers, more in the last 2 years than in previous history, have filed for bankruptcy because of some of the unusual circumstances that have occurred. And prices are low, not because we grow too much corn and soybeans. They're low because we have an excess, too much production. And our exports, because of political policies, have diminished, which has also decreased our opportunities for income as farmers. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mayor. Christie? Did you want to talk? Okay. I just picture out you and me.
You sign this.
My husband and I live in town. We bought a small piece of acreage out in the country because we wanted somewhere we could go to get away from town, to enjoy the outdoors, hunt, and have a little piece of the country to call our home. We now know that the farmers surrounding our property has signed a solar lease, and that that property is ever developed, we could potentially be surrounded by solar on 3 sides. This is very concerning to us. I don't know what's surrounding our property with hundreds of acres of solar panels, fencing, construction, and activity, along with noise, which due to the wildlife that currently moves through the area. But I think it's a fair question for property owners like us to ask. I'm also very concerned about setbacks. When you are the non-participating property owner, the distance between your property and a project matters. We didn't sign the lease. We aren't receiving payments from the developer. We could still be the ones living with the effects of a project on 3 sides of our property. I understand that the Honey Pie Creek project is not in my township. I also understand that my township has its own zoning authority, but that doesn't mean what happens here doesn't happen to me. The decisions being made now can help shape how future projects are viewed throughout Gratiot County. If standards are changed or weakened because a developer says they are too restrictive, that becomes something the next developer can point to when approaching another community. That concerns me because we
Tonight I'm speaking in support of the people who live here and are concerned about the project. We can't keep talking about the importance of producing our own energy while ignoring the importance of producing food. There's only so much farmland. Project by project, acre by acre, farmland is being occupied by industrial energy development, often involving multinational companies, international investors, and global supply chains. Think about that for a minute. We're calling this energy independence, while some of the companies developing and financing these projects are international, and much of the equipment and technology used throughout the solar industry comes through a global supply chain. And there's something else we need to remember. Projects get sold. Companies merge. They change owners. They restructure. Some go bankrupt. The company making promises to you today may not be the company responsible for this project 20 or 30 years from now, but the land will still be here. And I also think we should be asking where the equipment going onto that land comes from. Solar isn't just panels sitting in a field. These projects use inverters, computers, software, and equipment that can communicate remotely. Cybersecurity is a real concern with our energy system today. So I think it's perfectly reasonable to ask, who made this equipment? Where did it come from? Who maintains the software? Who can connect to it remotely? And how is it being protected? Gratiot County is not starting from zero. You already host 417 turbines, thousands of acres of utility-scale solar, battery storage facilities, substations, and transmission lines. And now more projects want more land. We need to stop looking at these projects one at a time and look at the whole picture. When does protecting farmland matter just as much as producing another megawatt of electricity? I don't think residents should constantly have to explain why they want to protect what's left. Maybe it's time for the next developer to explain why Gratiot County should give up more. And I'll just leave with this, is what you do today sets a precedence for the future and other projects that might apply. Thank you.
You want to stay in the room, cut that out. If you would, state your name when you're up there. I know you're writing your name down, but, so you could hear it online.
No problem. So my name is Jordan Block. I'm born and raised in this area. I think for me, this is obviously a very highly emotional subject right now. I have friends on both sides of this aisle, both sides of this decision. Okay, so grew up best friends with half the family. Okay, so just to give you a little context, Scott, great guy. Nothing but great things to say about him as a man. I know also the majority is great people. Now with that said, I also know the Mungers, phenomenal people, just solid in their faith and just people that I embody. And also, obviously we talk about the Misers as well, just great people. So I give you the context just to try to tell you essentially where I stand on this. Okay, so I think at the end of the day, we can debate whether or not we feel like solar is good for our community here. I'm going to give you my personal opinion. And so when I sit there and look, I went to college, came back to where we live now. I came back to where we live because of the rural feel, because of the people that are here. And at the end of the day, I think we really need to think about what we're doing when it comes to these solar panels. My concern is that these panels aren't being put out in the middle of random fields. They're surrounding homes. And as we sit there and talk about the impact that's going to have on these families, it's truly incredible. We can say that the value of the home is going to stay, but that's just truly that's not the truth. We take a look at, if you look at, my wife's a real estate agent, we take a look at property value, and the majority of the time it's all about location. Okay, nobody chooses to go live in a field of solar panels. Okay, so at the end of the day, we have to take a look at that. And realistically, as I see it, we have a real option ahead of us. We either make it where we make it right by these people, or we shut the project down. Those are the two options that I see that are what we need to do moving forward here. I'm not going to sit there and debate about whether or not you agree with solar panels. What I would say is, if you take a look at your value system and realize now rural America is who you're against, and who you have standing in your corner is, the big tech companies, consumers. You have these big corporations, foreign corporations, and these are now who's backing you. You have to really take a look at your decisions and say, hey, am I selling out on an opportunity here? Okay. I understand. Can I just wrap up one quick thought here? I understand the thought process on why I would want to make the same decision. Okay, I truly get trying to take care of my family and generations to come. I get it. At the end of the day, we have to do what's right. We have to do what's right by the people. And I think unfairly stacking the deck against them isn't the right thing to do.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eric Wadesky. I'm with IBB Energy Partners, developing the Honey Oak Creek solar project that we're here to talk about today. I know I've tried to speak to quite a few people in this room over the couple of months since we signed this land and began to pursue this project. And so I know today we're asking you guys to take a procedural step based on what the state ordinance says. We appreciate that. We're doing this, trying to follow the legislation that was put in place. But I know that creates some questions and, feelings about, how we're doing this and how we're pursuing this. And so I just, want to say, we understand you guys are, making a decision on this right now, but, afterwards, I'm happy to hang around and answer specific questions that people might have, as I'm sure many people are pursue. So, just wanted to introduce myself and say that, we appreciate everybody coming out at the time, and, we think this is a good project for the community, but obviously we're hearing what everybody's saying about, why they might not like this project, and we appreciate that. I do this all over the country, and, a lot of the same sentiments are basically part of my job, from one project to the next. And so, I just want to say I'll hang around, and if you guys want to ask me some questions, or if any of the commissioners have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But with that said, today, with this being a procedural step, there still will have to be a public hearing that was alluded to. We still have to actually make an application for this project. We have not actually submitted an application here or to the state. We want to permit this project in Gratiot County, in Seville Township, Gratiot County for the Sumner Township portions. And so, there's a lot more information to come. There's the studies, there's the analyses that, we've alluded to, everyone wants to hear. There's the site plan. All that's going to be made public through an application that is yet to be submitted. Right now we're asking for this step and following the procedure that the state has put in place. And so there's a lot more information out there to come, but I'd be happy to answer questions as people might have about that. So I'll just like to say that and appreciate your time.
Thank you.
My name is Todd Bennett. My wife and I live in Sumner Township. We bought a farm about 5 years ago. And no one's going to debate whether farming is profitable or easy. I think we can all agree that it's a very difficult profession, it's an honorable and noble profession. My biggest concern here is we need to have the foresight to look in the future. We talked about jobs, we talked about energy, we talked about tax revenue. Valsitol did that in St. Louis 50 years ago. Total did that as well. Those are not Superfund sites. I enjoy getting up in the morning, looking out over the fields, seeing the animals, and I don't want someday for my kids to have that house and look at a Superfund site from a company that's bankrupt, that's left the community and left a mess. So while it is a noble profession to be a farmer, and it is a difficult one, and I respect that, we also have neighbors and people in the community that we have to think about.
Thank you. Next. Well, if there's no more public comment, consideration of new business. First up, summary of the Honeycomb solar panel review process. We did that earlier, okay. Okay, solar letter compatibility. And resolution to authorize official statement regarding compatible renewable energy ordinance. Resolution number 26-450.
I so move that we vote on resolution number 26450, resolution to authorize official statement regarding the compatible renewable energy ordinance.
Second. Moved by Steve, supported by Tim, to adopt resolution number 26-450. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
May I ask for a roll call, please?
Yeah, we should have roll call.
Commissioner Sapsi,
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bunting,
Yes.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes.
Commissioner Owens.
Yes. Motion carried. Is there additional public comment?
Here. Tom Clark, Sheriff Gratiot County, I just wanted to end on a positive note. You guys remember the life back suckers that you guys approved for us? Last night, we had a very good outcome with one of those life back suckers. Had a little 5-year-old girl that was choking on a rock. Tried multiple back blows, tried Heimlich maneuvers and everything else. Deputies ran back out to their car, was able to dislodge that rock with that life back and saved her life. So she went completely limp, wasn't breathing. So I just wanted to say thank you again for purchasing all those life backs for us. Each deputy has one in their units, and without that, who knows? Could have been a totally different income or outcome, for her. So the family is very thankful as well. So I just wanted to pass that along.
But you know, Sheriff, we're gonna give you the tools that you need.
Thank you. I appreciate it. For something that, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but these are just little life back suckers that they work the opposite way that a plunger works. You push it down, it's a little face mask that goes over. Press it down, pull up, and it'll dislodge any type of food, rocks, anything like that, marbles out of kids' mouths. They're very inexpensive to have. These ones I think were about $70 a piece. But the great thing is if you use them, they give you a brand new one. So just send back into the company, write them a letter saying, hey, I use this. They will send you a new one. So it's a lifetime not commitment, but it's a lifetime purchase. And so thankfully the deputies were out to the Fulton High School football field. This little incident happened in Perryton, and so they were less than 2 minutes away. And so without that device, they got the marble dislodged a little bit with doing the back blows on the child. got it dislodged for a split second. She was able to take in a couple extra breaths. Unfortunately, when she did that, she sucked the rock back down. And so, they grabbed that out of the car and, you know, it's a good outcome. So, thank you guys.
Thanks, Sheriff.